Review Committee meeting, September 28th, 2022. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Megan, would you like to do roll?
Yes, Ms. Stoller,
Here.
Ms. Nieves,
Here.
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Ms. Bowman,
Here.
Mr. Block.
Here.
All right.
Your form. All right, next up on the agenda is the approval of the previous minutes. Do I have a motion? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, minutes approved. First item up on the agenda, case number NPR-22-4, 11405 Lantern Road.
Yes, good evening. For the record, Megan Vukasic, Director of Planning and Zoning. This item is for a nickel plate review of 11405 Lantern Road. This is the third month that you guys have seen this, so I'm going to briefly go over just as a reminder of the project we're looking at. So this is south of 116th Street. The property is identified here. It's 0.05 acres, and it is in the Village Center district of the Nickel Plate District Code. Here's the proposed site plan. So this shows the building footprint and the proposed on-street parking that will be along Lantern Road, as well as the site improvements, which include a front patio and then parking pad there in the back. Here's the proposed elevations. Nothing has changed on these facades that is any different than what you saw last month. But just as a reminder.
Has changed in the rear.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. Yep. So here is that front elevation. Here's that side elevation that was updated at our last meeting. So you can see the wood paneling that was extended. And then here's really the change for tonight's meeting. So these are the updates to the rear facade. So previously, we got some feedback that the shipping container doors were not desired on the rear facade. And so staff did meet the petitioner out on site to discuss the proposed elevations. And then we've also worked with them to add some enhancements to this facade, which includes some windows on that third story, as well as a portico along the entry point along this facade. So we think that that does a nice job of just adding some features that make it look less like a shipping container and more like a home. And then just as a reminder, here is the south elevation, no change to this facade. This is going to face directly an existing structure. And then here's just some additional views for reference. Some context of the area. This is in a residential section of the Nickel Plate District. And so here's some homes that have recently been built in that area. And then probably the most similar one to this design is a single family home that was constructed in South Village. And that is a similar color palette, but it is a different material. So really the decision before the board tonight is to approve this facade with the following waivers. So that would be that the requirement that the front facade is 75% masonry and that all other sides are 50% masonry. Currently, the proposed elevation shows 0% masonry, and then to allow corten steel as a building material, which would be 64% maximum. So we appreciate the petitioners working with us, and I know we've had some back and forth on this, but staff does recommend approval of these waivers and of the elevation shown tonight. And I will turn it over to them if they have any additional comments.
All good?
I mean, you all have seen
We've
this
seen it
a
3
lot of
times,
times.
yeah.
It's-
Okay, so,
We're
sorry.
happy to answer questions if questions come up.
Okay, well, I'd like to take it to the committee for commentary.
Okay. Before we vote on this tonight, I would like to say a few comments. And one of those is I will be voting, especially since I know that the petitioner has worked with and met with the committee members and explained things to them. I know that they've worked with staff and am greatly appreciative of that. This is the third month this has been on the committee's calendar. The first month, it was brought to the committee seeking a waiver since it did not meet the code. The project did not have staff approval at that time. The committee recommended a few changes and requested the developer to work with staff. The second month, the project included the committee's recommended stages, but still did not meet the code or meet recommendations of staff at that point. Staff approved not because it met their requirements, but only because it met the requirements that the committee had outlined. The developer was even called by a member of the committee to let him know that it would not pass unless it met the administration's requirements. The committee member was informed that the developer intended to exercise the right to proceed. Developer did not collaborate nor incorporate the desired changes by staff at that time. This month, it sounds like that the developer has completely worked with staff, and I'm grateful for that. If the developer would have worked with staff to get their recommendations in the first month, there's a good chance this would have passed in the first month. I am hopeful in the future that the developer will seek the staff's approval and recommendation in the first month, recognizing that the developer has a right to come before this committee without staff's recommendation. I will express my opinion that this is an inefficient and disrespectful, in my opinion, of staff and this committee by requiring staff and volunteers to work on this for 2 additional months. It is my recommendation, Mr. Nixon, that you work with Fisher's Planning and Zoning Department. They are professional, educated, and know the vision for the city. To be efficient, please seek their recommendation before coming to the committee. If you choose to exercise your right not to work with staff and still come before the committee, please know that I will vote no to table, no to continue, and no for the project. Councilor Peterson, staff, and myself have met with you in the past to explain the vision for Village Center. If you need for us to meet again to help you understand, we will gladly do so. The council, the administration, and this committee are seeking the same vision for Village Center and look forward to working with you in the future in a more efficient and effective way. Okay. Any further comments?
I'll make a comment. I guess, first of all, I appreciate the changes that you made, particularly in the rear of the elevation there. I think, with the doors removed, it just looks more residential, so I appreciate that. I'll just make some general comments, and I think I started to make some of these in the last hearing, but I will be a hesitant yes as well with where we're at, and maybe just wanted to voice why that is. I appreciate, Joe, the idea of trying to do something different and creative, particularly with development and construction, and I do. I mean that sincerely. Yet I have concerns, which I have voiced, about longevity of the structure, just the appearance of the structure, and I think that gets particularly magnified with some of the higher quality redevelopment that's occurring in the area. I mean, I think you've done some, Gradisons are doing other, and I think the standard is there that, and really the price point of what's being developed there is really at a quality level that I think is what we'd like to see as a city. I think there are a few points of emphasis that I would continue to encourage you to work on, or at least address, and that's at the front elevation. I think the earliest elevation that you showed had some very nice terrace landscaping there. That's not now shown, but I know we've talked about it. I would just like to see that incorporated because I think that front appearance is going to be really important. I think I'm just, my hesitancy remains about, what this material ultimately looks like, And as I say, and then ultimately, kind of, will it ever detract from the momentum that is occurring in the area? And so I hope not. And that's why, I guess, if there's a hesitancy to say yes, it's for the concern of what it ultimately will be and what it will look like. It's hard when you see just elevations to really have a full sense of what it will be. So I guess my concern remains. I will be voting yes, but I think it's important that, at least that's voiced so that if in the future, there's a similar project that's introduced, I think the same concerns will remain, but we may have the ability to refer to what this is to then make a more informed decision, and hopefully some of the concerns that exist will be for naught.
Gene?
I do appreciate the petitioners working with staff. We talked pretty extensively at last meeting, and I appreciate that you took the time to work with staff to come to a kind of a consensus. I do like the changes that were made, especially with the rear elevation. I think that making it look making it look less with those ship doors does conform more to some of the other homes in the area. I took a slow drive a couple of days ago, and even today, right before this meeting, down Morgan Drive and down Meadows, looking at some of the projects that have recently been done there. And I do feel that with the changes that have been made, that that this home conforms to some of those same standards and some of that same look. So I will be voting yes, and I appreciate again you working with staff and working with this committee to come to a favorable outcome, hopefully.
Jamie?
Yeah, I'll just make a couple comments. I appreciate you meeting with staff. The changes look great. I appreciate you meeting with me and educating me more on the project. I missed the first meeting, so I know you met with others from the committee and council, so I appreciate the effort that you took to help educate and work with us. I also appreciate your vision. I mean, I've got a background in economic development, so seeing the type of investments that's coming to Fishers, I see a little bit of a shift in what we're going to be drawing as far as people and where they're going to want to live. So I'm all for creative development and reuse of space, so I appreciate it.
All right, I would agree. I think for the land, this project fits. I always appreciate your vision for what we do down here in the village center and in the area, and your ideas and your creativeness. And I appreciate you meeting with everybody that you could to kind of share why this works and why the longevity is there and what the materials really are, and explaining it a little bit better. I think when we want to get creative with what we're putting in down here, I think that I encourage you to meet with us before you come to the committee. Obviously individually, one-on-one and all that, but just so we have that information. We can't get all of that information in one meeting, and all the questions can't be asked. So I think, feel free to reach out to any of us anytime you want to bring something here. We'd love to hear about it. It doesn't just have to be here at this meeting. So again, thanks, I appreciate it. So I think at this point
I do have
For a
one
motion.
quick
Go ahead.
question. What price range do you expect this property to sell for?
I don't plan to immediately put it on the market. I would guess if I did, 650, 700, 750, something like that. It's about 2,200 square feet.
So you feel that it's going to sell in this price range as the houses around it as well?
It's a little bit smaller, so it'd be a little bit under those. So the neighboring
Okay.
homes are more, usually those are finished basements, most of them. I think all of them do.
Yeah.
So they're all 3,000, 3,500 square feet. They also have full two-car garages.
Yeah, but it's going to sell for let's put it this way, it's going to sell in the same neighborhood as price per square foot?
Definitely.
Okay,
Probably a little higher. I would guess even a little bit higher.
okay.
As a professional in the industry,
Yeah.
I would agree that yes, market value would be similar to what you would expect in the area.
I ask one question. It's just been on my mind looking at the pictures and going over to the area. Those power lines right there. Concerns, I just, it's been on my mind to ask, and I just want to see with that being steel and.
I tell myself, so there's power lines that run through South Street, down Lantern, down there, kind of all over the area. I tell myself it gives it a little more urban look, a little more like a real industrial urban downtown, you know, has a little more history. Maybe it looks like things were here 50, 100 years ago. Are they kind of ugly? Yeah, I guess. But they are, it does make the area look a little different than, you know, a PUD or suburban sprawl type subdivision. So,
May I comment on that, Mr. Johnson?
Definitely.
Were you asking about
Yeah,
concern about building
concerned about
close to
the
them?
building close to them
Oh,
as well,
so-
just in terms
so
of the
we-
steel and.
We've recently finished 2 projects in Marion County, Indianapolis, that had power lines running right across, one the back side of the lot, the other one on the side, one the front. And obviously, we know how to work around those, and it hasn't been a problem. And as Mr. Nixon says, it does provide kind of a industrial downtown kind of a look as well.
I appreciate both those
Is
explanations.
there an
Thank you.
easement there for the power lines?
there's actually not. It's,
Really?
they're just there. I met with the Duke Energy guy on site a while back. He kind of gave me the clearances that they require. And he also told me that those aren't transmission lines. They're more like cable, and internet, things like that. So,
That makes sense. Any other comments? Do we have any motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it is approved.
Thank you very much.
Next up, staff communications. Staff have anything for us today?
Only communication is that this is planned to be our permanent location moving forward. So if that happens to change, staff will make sure to notify you. But if you have any questions, just let us know.
See you in court every month. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Adjourned.
All right. Adjourned. Just in time.